Ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand something right now. Every single morning you open your eyes, that's a blessing. That's God's love pouring into your life saying, you still have purpose. You got breath in your lungs, you got strength in your bones, and you got fire in your heart. So why are you holding back? I want you to stop doubting yourself. Stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. God didn't put you here to play small. He didn't fill you with gifts and dreams and resilience so you could sit on the sidelines and watch life pass you by. You have an inner power that's bigger than any setback, stronger than any fear. But you got to tap into it. You got to rise up every day and remind yourself, I am loved. I am chosen. I am equipped. When you walk in that truth, nothing can keep you down for long. Don't let yesterday's mistakes or today's challenges steal your joy. Don't let the opinions of other people become the soundtrack of your life. Instead, let God's love be the voice in your ear, reminding you that you're worthy, you're capable, and you're here to shine. So get up, stand tall, face this day with boldness, walk with faith and walk with power. Because when you combine God's love with your unstoppable spirit, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Rise and shine. Your time is now. God's love is the foundation that's stirred every morning. It is not a vague idea or something reserved only for special occasion. It is a living, constant force that sustains you from the moment you open your eyes. When you wake up, even before you check your phone or think about what needs to be done, His love is already present, wrapping itself around you like an invisible embrace. This love does not depend on whether you feel worthy or whether you think you've earned it. It is simply there, unconditional, steadfast, and beyond human comprehension. When you begin to understand this truth deep in your heart, you start to look at each new day differently. Instead of dragging yourself out of bed, burdened by yesterday's mistakes or today's unknowns, you learn to see every sunrise as evidence that God has given you another chance to walk in purpose. Each breath you take is a reminder that He has not given up on you, no matter what you have done or how many times you have stumbled. This is not about being perfect. It is about realizing that your spirit is renewed by something greater than your own effort or willpower. God's love is the steady ground beneath your feet. It is the quiet reassurance that you are not alone in whatever you face. When your mind starts racing with worries or your heart feels too heavy to carry, His love steps in as your anchor. It is what gives you the courage to get up and try again, to show kindness when you feel empty, to speak truth when it would be easier to stay silent. Even on mornings when you feel weak or unsure, His love does not waver. It does not withdraw because of your doubt or your fear. It remains unbroken and unbreakable. This foundation is built over time as you begin to trust in it more fully. It starts with a simple prayer whispered before you leave your bedroom, or a verse that reminds you that you are precious in His sight. Maybe it is the memory of a time when you felt completely alone, and yet somehow, some way you made it through. Those are not coincidences. Those are moments when God was showing you just how real His love is. And the more you pay attention, the more you see the evidence. It might be in the peace that comes when you should be anxious, the strength that rises when you have nothing left, the clarity that shows up when you are confused. When you allow His love to be the starting point of your day, you stop measuring yourself by the world's standards. You stop believing that you have to prove your worth through achievements or possessions. Instead, you start each morning knowing you are already valued, already accepted. That knowledge transforms the way you carry yourself. You can walk into your responsibilities with confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you are held by the one who does. You can face criticism without crumbling because you know that no human opinion can diminish your identity. You can forgive others more easily because you have been forgiven beyond measure. Sometimes life tries to convince you that you are alone, that no one sees the battles you are fighting or understands the burdens you are carrying. But God's love is the proof that you have never been abandoned. It is the quiet voice that reminds you your life has purpose. Even on the days when you feel like you were just going through the motions, it is the force that lifts your chin when shame tries to bow your head. It is the warmth that seeps into your heart when everything feels cold and uncertain. When you truly begin to rely on this love, you find that it changes what you expect from each day. Instead of bracing yourself for disappointment, you start looking for glimpses of grace. Instead of assuming you will fall short, you begin to believe you are equipped. His love empowers you to speak life over your circumstances, to declare hope where there has been despair, to believe that even the hardest seasons have meaning. You become more resilient because your spirit is being strengthened by a source that never runs dry. This is not about denying reality or pretending everything is always easy. It is about choosing to root your spirit in something eternal instead of the shifting sands of emotion or circumstance. It means when you are tired, you can still draw strength from the knowledge that you are loved beyond comprehension. When you are uncertain, you can still take the next step, trusting that you are being guided. When you feel unworthy, you can still receive grace because his love was never based on your perfection. Each morning you wake up, you have the choice to remember this foundation. You can choose to sit in silence and let your heart be reminded of his faithfulness. You can choose to speak out loud the truths that your spirit needs to hear, that you are loved, that you are seen, that you are enough. You can choose to release the shame and regret you carried from yesterday and replace it with gratitude for today. You can choose to surrender your fears and ask for help in the areas where you feel weak. When you do, something shifts inside you. The weight you have been carrying feels lighter because you know you are not carrying it alone. The worries that seem so big start to shrink in the presence of his peace. The insecurities that whispered you were not good enough lose their power because your worth was settled long before you ever took your first breath. God's love is not just a concept you hear about on Sunday. It is the very air your spirit breathes, the foundation that holds you steady when the world feels unsteady. It is a light that fills the dark corners of your heart and shows you who you really are. Cherish, chosen, called. When you begin your day rooted in this truth, you discover a strength that is not based on how much you accomplish, but on who you belong to. You find a confidence that does not fade when circumstances change. You find a joy that does not depend on everything going your way. You find a peace that cannot be explained by logic alone. Every sunrise becomes a fresh invitation to lean into that love, to let it saturate your thoughts, to let it soften your heart, to let it guide your steps. You do not have to earn it or perform for it. You simply have to receive it. And in that receiving, your spirit is fortified in ways you may not fully understand, but can absolutely feel. This is how God's love strengthens you, not by removing every obstacle, but by making sure you are never alone in facing them. Not by promising you a life free of pain, but by promising you a presence that will never leave you. Not by demanding that you be strong all the time, but by offering you a strength that is made perfect in your weakness. When you open your eyes each morning and remember this, you will discover that you have everything you need to rise, to endure, to love, and to live fully. God's love is the foundation that never cracks, the truth that never changes, the gift that never runs out. And it is waiting for you every time you greet a new day. Your inner power comes alive when you believe in your purpose. It is a simple truth that too many people overlook because they are caught up in the noise of what the world expects. Purpose is not just a motivational buzzword or something reserved for those who seem special or extraordinary. Purpose is the quiet, steady force that calls you to rise above distraction, to press on when things get hard, and to know deep in your bones that your life means something. When you know why you are here, you wake up differently. You don't have to be pushed by fear or guilt or the endless comparison that comes from looking around at everyone else. Instead, you are pulled forward by a sense of conviction that your story matters. Even if you can't see the full picture, you start to trust that every step, every setback, and every triumph is connected to something big. That is when your inner power begins to grow, not from pretending you have it all together, but from the courage it takes to keep showing up for the life you were meant to live. Believing in your purpose is not about feeling confident every moment. It's about choosing to believe you were created intentionally. It's about embracing the truth that your gifts, your experiences, your passions, and even your scars are all part of what makes you capable of contributing something no one else can. You might have days when you feel invisible or unqualified, but purpose whispers that you are exactly where you need to be to learn, to grow, and to impact others. That whisper becomes louder the more you listen to it and drown out the voices telling you that you are not enough. Purpose is what turns ordinary moments into something meaningful. It shifts your mindset from thinking you are simply passing time to understanding you are planting seeds. When you know your purpose, even small acts, a kind word, an honest effort, a moment of patience become significant. You start to see how your presence can lift someone else up, how your perseverance can inspire someone watching quietly from the sidelines. This awareness is not about ego. It is about responsibility. When you realize you were made on purpose and for purpose, you stop waiting for permission to start living boldly. Your inner power grows stronger each time you act in alignment with that purpose. Every time you take a risk to be authentic instead of blending in, you expand your capacity to be courageous. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, you build a foundation of strength that can't be shaken by circumstances. You realize that living for your purpose doesn't always feel glamorous. Sometimes it looks like doing the right thing when no one is watching, or staying committed to a vision when it feels like no one else believes in it. It is in these moments, the quiet and unseen ones, that your character is forged. You begin to see that your worth is not defined by applause or recognition. It is anchored in the knowledge that you are fulfilling what you were designed to do. This conviction can carry you through seasons of uncertainty because you understand that purpose is not determined by feelings or outcomes. It is something deeper, a commitment to live in alignment with your core values and to keep showing up with faith even when the path is unclear. When you believe in your purpose, setbacks no longer feel like evidence that you should quit. They become the refining fire that strengthens your resilience. Disappointment becomes a teacher instead of a tombstone. You learn to ask different questions, not a why is this happening to me, but a what is this teaching me? You begin to trust that every delay or detour has something to offer you, and that even closed doors are guiding you toward where you truly belong. Your inner power comes from this trust. It comes from understanding that you don't have to have everything figured out to take the next step. Sometimes all you need is a willingness to keep going. When you know your purpose, you give yourself permission to grow and evolve. You don't have to cling to old versions of yourself to feel safe. You can release what no longer serves you and embrace the unknown because you know your foundation is secure. Believing in your purpose also helps you silence the comparisons that steal your joy. You stop measuring your journey against someone else's highlight reel. You recognize that your timeline is unique and that what is meant for you will not pass you by. This is where freedom begins. You no longer need to rush or force outcomes to prove your worth. You can be patient and trust the process because you know your purpose will unfold exactly as it is meant to. Your inner power also thrives when you surround yourself with people who see and honor your purpose. Community matters. The right people will remind you of who you are when you forget. They will speak life into your dreams when you feel weary. They will challenge you to keep growing instead of settling for what feels comfortable. These connections are sacred because they help you stay anchored to your vision. They remind you that you are not alone and that your purpose often intersects with the purposes of others in ways you cannot yet imagine. The more you live with purpose, the more you see how everything is connected. The mistakes that once made you feel ashamed become evidence of your growth. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable become proof of your resilience. The dreams that once felt impossible begin to take shape because you had the courage to believe they were worth pursuing. This perspective is powerful. It transforms your relationship with fear because you understand that fear will always exist, but it doesn't have to be in charge. Your inner power shines brightest when you act despite fear. When you take imperfect steps toward the things that light you up, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Confidence is built in motion, not in contemplation. The more you take action, the more your belief grows. Over time, the small steps add up. What once felt intimidating becomes part of who you are. Living with purpose also requires you to be honest about what matters most to you. It means letting go of what no longer aligns with your values and making space for what does. This can feel uncomfortable because it often means disappointing others or stepping into unfamiliar territory. But every time you choose authenticity over approval, your inner power expands. You build a life that feels true instead of one that looks impressive but leaves you empty. Purpose fuels passion. It gives you a reason to keep showing up when motivation fades. When you believe in your purpose, you don't need constant external validation to keep going. You are driven by something internal, something that cannot be taken away by failure or criticism. This is why purpose is so essential. It roots you in a deeper why that sustains you through every season. Believing in your purpose also helps you see the value in serving others. You recognize that your gifts were never just for you. They were meant to be shared. When you show up with a heart to contribute, you find fulfillment that success alone can never provide. You discover the joy of making a difference, even in small ways. This service becomes an expression of your purpose and a source of lasting satisfaction. The journey of living with purpose is not linear. There will be seasons when you feel clear and focused, and seasons when you feel lost and uncertain. But even in the confusion, you can trust that your purpose has not disappeared. It is still there, waiting for you to remember it, to return to it, to keep walking in its direction. Your inner power is always accessible. It is not something you have to earn. It is something you claim by choosing to believe that your life has meaning. When you make that choice, again and again, you will find a strength you didn't know you possessed. You will discover that you are capable of far more than you imagine. You will begin to live not just for what is easy or comfortable, but for what is true. And in that truth, your inner power comes fully alive, transforms fear into courage and obstacles into opportunity. It is one of the most powerful truths you can carry in your heart because it changes how you see everything in front of you. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty. It tells you that you are in danger, that you are not ready, that you should turn back. Sometimes fear feels so loud that it seems impossible to move forward. But faith does not ask you to pretend fear isn't real. Faith simply invites you to believe that there is something stronger, something bigger, something more lasting than whatever is scaring you right now. When you have faith, you begin to see fear for what it is, a messenger, not a master. You recognize that fear often shows up in the moments that matter most. The moments when you are about to step into something new or stretch beyond what you thought you could handle. Fear tries to keep you small. It tries to convince you that you are safer in the familiar, even if the familiar is unfulfilling. But faith whispers that you were made for more, that you were designed to grow, and that everything you need to move forward is already within you or will be provided along the way. This is how faith transforms fear into courage. It does not erase the feeling of being afraid. It simply shifts your perspective so that fear loses its power to control you. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, you start to see it as a doorway. You realize that your fear often points directly toward the places where you have the most potential to grow. That awareness alone can give you the courage to take the first step, even if your heart is racing and your mind is full of doubts. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act anyway. Faith fuels that decision because it anchors you to a deeper purpose. When you know why you are doing something, you can find the strength to endure whatever challenges come with it. You trust that there is meaning in the struggle and that you are being shaped into someone stronger and wiser with every step you take. Faith also teaches you to look beyond your immediate circumstances. When you face an obstacle, it is easy to focus on everything that is hard or unfair about it. You see the closed doors, the setbacks, the delays, and you start to wonder if you are wasting your time. But faith reframes obstacles as opportunities in disguise. It helps you see that every difficulty holds a lesson, every disappointment carries a seed of transformation, and every closed door redirects you towards something better suited for you. This shift in perspective is not just wishful thinking. It is the foundation of resilience. When you believe that your life has purpose and that you are guided by something greater than yourself, you can face challenges without losing hope. You stop interpreting obstacles as evidence that you are unworthy or incapable. Instead, you start to ask, what is this trying to teach me? And how can this make me stronger? These questions turn setbacks into stepping stones. Faith also empowers you to release the need to control every outcome. Fear thrives on the illusion that if you can just plan enough, prepare enough, and anticipate every possibility, you will be safe from disappointment. But life rarely unfolds according to our carefully constructed plan. Faith helps you surrender the idea that you must have all the answers before you take action. It allows you to trust that even if things don't go as you hope, you will still be okay. You will still find a way forward. You will still be loved, still be valuable, still be capable of rising again. When you practice living this way, you discover that obstacles can be some of your greatest teachers. They reveal the places in you that need healing, the beliefs that need to be challenged, and the strengths you didn't know you possessed. You begin to develop a kind of quiet confidence that doesn't depend on everything going smoothly. You learn to face the unknown with open hands, willing to receive whatever comes with gratitude and curiosity. Faith also inspires you to take risks you might otherwise avoid. When you trust that you are supported by something greater, you become less afraid of failure. You start to see failure as part of the process, not the end of the story. You understand that every attempt, whether it succeeds or not, brings you closer to growth and wisdom. This freedom to try, to fall, and to try again is where creativity and innovation are born. You also discover that faith creates a sense of peace that fear can never offer. Fear tells you that you have to earn your worth, that you must prove yourself constantly, that you are only as good as your last achievement. Faith reminds you that you are already enough, already loved, already worthy. This truth frees you from the exhausting cycle of striving and allows you to focus on what truly matters. When you know your identity is secure, you can approach challenges without feeling like your value is on the line. In relationships, faith transforms the fear of rejection into the courage to be vulnerable. It helps you show up honestly without hiding behind masks or pretending to be someone you're not. You trust that the right people will accept you as you are and that the wrong ones were never meant to stay. This openness creates deeper connections and more authentic love. In your work, faith transforms the fear of inadequacy into the courage to grow. It allows you to step into new roles, take on new challenges, and learn new skills without being paralyzed by the possibility of making mistakes. You understand that growth requires discomfort, and that you are capable of navigating that discomfort with grace. Even in the most painful moments, faith offers a perspective that fear cannot. When you walk through loss or heartache, faith does not deny your grief. It sits with you in the darkness and gently reminds you that this is not the end. It assures you that healing is possible, that light will return, and that even in your suffering, there is purpose. This assurance doesn't take away the pain, but it does give you the courage to keep moving forward one step at a time. Faith also helps you see the goodness that is always present, even when circumstances are difficult. Fear narrows your focus to everything that is wrong, everything that is missing. Faith widens your vision to include the blessings that still exist, the people who still care, the beauty that still surrounds you. This perspective fuels gratitude, and gratitude has a way of softening fear's grip. The more you practice living with faith, the more natural it becomes to interpret life through the lens of possibility instead of limitation. You start to expect that good things can come from hard places, that miracles can happen in ordinary moments, that you are capable of rising above whatever challenges you face. This expectancy doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose to see reality in its fullness, including the hope that fear tries to hide. Faith transforms fear into courage by giving you a reason to keep going, a reason to believe that your efforts matter, and a reason to trust that you are never alone. It transforms obstacles into opportunities by reminding you that every struggle contains a gift, every setback offers wisdom, and every challenge is an invitation to become more fully yourself. This is the quiet, steady power of faith. It does not remove the hard things, but it changes the way you experience them. It gives you the strength to face whatever comes with open hands, knowing that even in the unknown, you are held. That each day is a fresh chance to rise, shine, and make a difference. This truth is so simple that it is often overlooked, buried beneath the noise of obligations, worries, and routine. But if you pause long enough to really consider it, you will see just how powerful this idea can be. Each sunrise marks a line between what was and what is possible now. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what mistakes you made or how much you struggled, you have been given another opportunity to step into the world with intention, with purpose, and with hope. When you wake up, you are not simply continuing from where you left off. You are starting anew. The first breath you take in the quiet of the morning is a reminder that life is still moving forward, that you are still here, and that your presence matters. This new day does not require you to carry the burdens of the past unless you choose to. You can decide in this moment to set them down, to release the guilt or regret, and to give yourself permission to begin again. Rising is more than getting out of bed. It is an act of courage. It is a declaration that you are willing to engage with whatever this day holds. Some days rising will feel effortless. You will wake with energy, clarity, and purpose. Other days, rising will feel like the hardest thing you can do. You will have to dig deep to find the strength to stand, to move, to believe that today could be better than yesterday. But every time you choose to rise, you are practicing resilience. You are proving to yourself that you are capable of facing life head on, even when it would be easier to hide. Shining is what happens when you decide not to dim your light to make others comfortable or to protect yourself from disappointment. It is the willingness to show up fully, to let your gifts be seen, and to offer your heart to the world without apology. Shining does not mean you have to be perfect. It does not mean you have to have all the answers or pretend everything is okay when it isn't. Shining is about authenticity. It is about living in alignment with who you really are and allowing that truth to radiate through everything you do. When you shine, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage becomes a spark that ignites something in the people around you. They see your honesty, your passion, your determination, and they are reminded of what is possible for themselves. Your light does not diminish when you share it. It grows brighter. It expands beyond you, reaching places you may never fully see or understand. This is how ordinary lives become extraordinary legacies. Through the quiet, consistent choice to keep shining even when it feels vulnerable. Making a difference does not always look like changing the world in some massive, visible way. Sometimes making a difference is simply being kind to someone who feels invisible. It is listening without judgment when someone needs to be heard. It is showing up for your family, your friends, your coworkers, even when you feel tired. It is choosing integrity when cutting corners would be easier. It is offering encouragement when someone else feels like giving up. You make a difference every time you choose love over fear, hope over cynicism, action over complacency. Each decision, no matter how small, contributes to the kind of world we all live in. When you recognize the power of your choices, you stop underestimating your impact. You start to see that you are not here by accident. You have something valuable to offer that no one else can replicate. Each day presents countless moments to practice this truth. When you wake up, you have a chance to set your intentions. You can decide how you want to show up, what kind of energy you want to bring, and what kind of legacy you want to build. Even if you only have a little to give, even if you feel like you are starting from scratch, you still have the ability to make today meaningful. Some days making a difference might look like taking care of yourself, tending to your own healing so you can be stronger for others. Other days, it might look like pouring yourself into a cause you care about or supporting someone in need. It might look like sharing your ideas, creating something new, or simply choosing to stay positive when negativity would be easier. There is a quiet dignity in recognizing that you have the ability to choose how you respond to life. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control what you do with what you have been given. This is where your power lies, not in having a perfect life, but in making intentional choices within the life you have. Each morning, you are invited to remember this and to act on it in whatever way you can. Even when the world feels heavy, when the news is discouraging and the problems seem too big to solve, you still have the power to make a difference in the spaces you inhabit. You can bring light into your corner of the world, and that light will ripple out further than you can see. Never underestimate the impact of small acts done with great love. They are the building blocks of change. Rising, shining, and making a difference is not about never failing or never feeling discouraged. It is about returning again and again to your sense of purpose. It is about choosing to believe that your life is significant, that your efforts matter, and that every day you are given is an opportunity to contribute something good. When you approach each day with this mindset, you cultivate gratitude. You start to see the ordinary details of life as sacred, the first sip of coffee, the laughter of someone you love, the quiet moments of reflection. You appreciate that time itself as a gift, and you become more aware of how you want to spend it. Gratitude fuels your desire to make the most of each day because you understand that nothing is promised. This perspective also helps you be more patient with yourself. You realize that growth is not linear and that you will have days when you feel strong and days when you feel fragile. Both are part of the journey. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep trying, and keep believing that you have something to offer. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect before you start making a difference. You don't need more credentials or more approval or more resources to begin. You can start today, right where you are, with exactly what you have. When you rise, shine, and act with intention, you set something powerful in motion. Even if you never see the full impact of your efforts, you can trust that they matter. Every time you choose courage over fear, honesty over pretense, compassion over indifference, you are shaping the world around you. You are planting seeds that will grow in ways you cannot yet imagine. Each day is a fresh chance to do this work, to keep becoming the person you were created to be, to leave every space a little brighter than you found it. Every day you wake up, you're offered a powerful invitation to rise above yesterday's doubts, to shine with the light that only you can bring, and to make a difference no matter how small it seems. When you choose faith over fear, purpose over complacency, and love over indifference, you not only transform your own life, but touch the lives of everyone around you. Your inner power isn't something you have to search for in some far-off place. It's already within you, waiting to be claimed and expressed. No matter what challenges you face or how imperfect the path feels, remember this. You were created with intention, equipped with resilience, and called to live boldly. Every sunrise is a fresh chance to step into that truth. So stand tall, walk forward with purpose, and trust that your life, your courage, and your light truly matter.